Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we have a fantastic conversation that you're going to love. And one reason you're going to love it is my friend and our guest host, Dee Maddox, is back for another podcast. If you all didn't hear the first one, go back and listen. So, Dee Maddox, DMX Consulting, she is a sought after speaker, corporate trainer, HR expert, and just an amazing person. So, Dee, welcome back to the podcast.
I am so happy to be here again. Like this feels like home. You ever go somewhere and you want to go back? I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. And thank you for bringing today's guest. So, you are going to get to hear a conversation that Dee and I had, and the topic is about. I think I initially labeled it differently, but let's just call it getting the money. That's what this topic is about. It is about how do you get the money, specifically the money you need for your business to grow and scale. This was great. I mean, I learned so much. I've taken so many notes. So thank you for bringing our guest, Chanel Christoff Davis. Thank you for bringing her to the podcast.
You are welcome. I have admired her from Nalbo and from WeBank. She's $1 million business owner, Black minority certified, and she has been so inspiring. And I actually have information about her. Chanel is founder and CEO of Davis Harman, a leading Black woman-owned sales tax advisory firm in the United States. And with over 3 decades of experience, she specializes in audit defense and sales tax recovery, supporting businesses effectively in navigating complex fiscal landscapes. A committed advocate for women entrepreneurs, I know that personally, Chanel also contributes her insights as a respected speaker on financial leadership. Most recently, her strategic leadership and industry impact were acknowledged when she received DCEO's Financial Executive Award, marking her as a leading figure in her field. So I'm excited to have this conversation. I know everyone's going to love it. She's been impactful and informative for me, and now everyone gets to benefit. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for bringing her. Get your notes ready. Get your paper and pen or the notes app on your phone, whatever it is, get it ready. She dropped so many tips and just pieces of insight that I am personally, like just after the conversation, I'm personally thinking, oh wow, how can I implement that in my own business? And I know all of you all will feel the same. So thank you all so much for joining. Dee, of course, thank you for being here. We'll have all Dee's information in the show notes as well, so you can contact her. But thank you all so much for joining and enjoy. Welcome to Anelra. Have you ever thought about unlocking the full potential of yourself or the leaders in your organization? Imagine the impact of executive coaching. Ready to transform your leadership impact? Visit us at www.anelratalent.com. Anelra, coaching solutions that work.
I am so excited to be here today to talk to this fantastic woman, mother, wife, business owner, Chanel Christoff Davis. And we're going to talk about all the things. And I don't want to ruin it. So we'll jump right in with the first question, if that's okay.
Let's go.
All right. So I would love for you to share how you started your entrepreneurial journey and what took you on this path. And I know you've been on this path for a couple of decades, but tell us how it all started.
Yeah, so I was a very precocious kid. I was a kid entrepreneur. I'm gonna put that around air quotes. I don't think I ever earned any significant money, but I always had many businesses as a kid. So I kind of came into this world, thinking about how to make money.
Yes.
That's kind of was my thing from the beginning. Tried to be influential in my birth family and coming up with schemes to make money. So I just was born this way. In college, I met my then boyfriend, now husband. We started the student chapter of the National Association of Black Accountants on our campus. We attended a PWI. So we again saw a need, and was not being addressed, which was African-American students were graduating with accounting degrees with no prospects for full-time employment or even getting opportunities for internships. And we were like, not on our watch. So we started the chapter for our college. It still exists today. which I'm very proud of. And again, showing entrepreneurship, just having that spirit of seeing a problem and stepping up to address it. And went on to start my career at PricewaterhouseCoopers. And at that time, Big Four, as is known today, one of the top four accounting firms in the world. And again, showing up, asking to do things that was not asked of me. I was, starting our Dress for Success clothing drive and going from office to office to partners' offices, collecting suits, just doing stuff nobody asked me to do. I mean, I just was, busybody, just, again, wanting to, fulfill a need. I felt like, we needed some sort of philanthropy arm of our practice at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Brought NABA, National Association of Black Accountants, to the firm, introduced them to that concept of, having an outreach specifically to African Americans. I was in my start class, there's only 2 African Americans. The start class after me, there were none. And I was like, you guys need to do better. Here's this organization. You need to, be invested in do more. Tried to start a ERG group at PricewaterhouseCoopers before that was even a thing. And they were like, no, thank you. We don't want an African American, affinity group. I'm like, but why? We should have one. So I was always, stepping up and doing things where I saw a need. And at the time, my husband and I both realized that we weren't necessarily on the partner track at the firm, because he was at PricewaterhouseCoopers as well, in a sales tax group, which is what introduced us to sales tax as our career. And we both decided, hey, we could kind of do this on our own. We don't need to stay here. If we're not valued or they don't see our gifts, let's start our own firm. So that's what we did. So in 2001, we struck out on our own, both quit our jobs, bid on the contract with the state of Texas, and never looked back. So 23 years this year we've been in business.
Congratulations. That is amazing. I love you talking about, like, even from an early age, interest in the money. Because I feel like for a lot of business owners, I feel like I've said this myself, you kind of go into business because maybe it's something you're interested in, it's a topic, it's a passion you like, and the money side of it comes with it, but it's not necessarily something you like or really know how to manage, or so when you said the money, I was like, yes, that's what we need to talk about, because I think that's where a lot of business people struggle, honestly, which seems weird because that's why you go into business to make money. But I think oftentimes that passion or the topic, whatever it is more forefront, and people struggle with the money side, which.
Yeah, our first opportunity was, like I said, we became contract auditors for the state of Texas. That very first year we were in business, we were profitable. Like, we had several different ideas to start a business, and we would, throw it up on the wall, try to figure it out, come up with a marketing plan. But at the end of the day, if we came back to, this is not going to make us any money, we scrapped, move to the next thing. So we were thinking as husband and wife, we wanted to do something. We didn't know what it was. We were born and raised in New Orleans. So we were like, well, maybe we'll open the first daiquiri shop in Dallas, right? Yeah. And then I'm like, well, who's going to be there to pour the daiquiris? Because I'm not doing it. So it was like, I'm not going to be in behind the counter. No, so we kept trying to figure out, my husband makes amazing red beans and rice. We were like, maybe we can, bottle your red beans and rice and sell that. I mean, we had ideas upon ideas, okay? But at the end of the day, like you said, if it didn't we couldn't see where we could scale it or make it profitable in a reasonable amount of time. We don't come from a background of wealth. We just don't. We're first generation college graduates for our family. And so we didn't have a wealth, stash back in from until this business got off the ground. So we had to be very practical. Like, how do we get something going that's going to immediately start to fund our lifestyle and take care of us? Because we didn't have a rich uncle or rich dad to help us along the way. So yeah, a lot of those earlier ideas just didn't, match up to our tests. So we moved on to something that we figured we could make profitable pretty quickly.
Okay. I love that. So let me ask you this. How can business owners use investments? Like you're saying, a lot of people don't have the wealth, the resources to maybe scale a business or grow a business. So how do people use investors or investments to grow their business?
That is great. Great question. So as you can imagine, we started our first company very lean. And lean startups make sense. You're going to pull on, credit cards, you're going to save, like when we realized we were going to quit our jobs, we started saving every paycheck. We just saved everything. And just to have a nest egg to fund our lifestyle until we got the business off the ground. So that makes sense. But I would say once you get into like year 2 or year 3 and you're in business, you're actually, producing, making a productive, effort in your business, and you're getting close to year 3, I think you should start to think about outside investments. And there are instances where you should think about investing or institutional investors or outside investors before you even start your business. There are those enterprises where you're going to need funding to even get the doors open. For us, because we were in professional services, we operated very lean. We worked out of our home, out of our spare bedroom. We didn't need a actual brick and mortar to start off because we were working for the government. We won a government contract, so we had already won the 6-figure contract. So we didn't need an actual office space to begin. So we were able to start very lean. But, if you're starting a retail store or some type of establishment where you're going to need upfront and, like outlays of cash, you may have to actually put together a deck and actually seek funding from, friends or family or institutional investors. It's going to be hard to create a startup without and go to a bank. It's almost impossible, I'm gonna be honest. But you may have to lean into alternative forms of investing to do something that may be a little bit more cash intensive to begin with. But if you don't need that, I would suggest you start up lean, and in year 2 or 3, look to outside people. And contrary to what other people may believe, I always believe I've always believed since day one in using other people money to scale and grow my business. Like as soon as I was able to put together some financial statements that made sense, I was at the bank. I was like, hey, I need y'all money. So
I love that.
I think year 2, I was at JP Morgan Chase with my pro formas and my financial statements asking for money. Now, I'm very fortunate that my background is accounting and finance, right? I work for Big Four, so I know how to put together those type of decks. If you don't have that background and knowledge, go to the SBA. Get you a score advisor. Like get assistance. There's so much money. I mean, not money, but there's so much assistance out there to help you to put together your financials, your pro forma financial statements, your deck. There are resources for you that your tax dollars pay for. Like you don't have to use them, but you're paying for them. It's coming out of your taxes, out of your property taxes. So you might as well go to the SBA, go to the store and ask for their assistance and, put together an actual draft and pass it to them and ask them to look over it. Our very first contract, when we bid on a contract to start our business, we took it to SCORE. And we said, look over this. We've never done this before in our life. We don't come from a family of business owners. We're bidding on this RFP. Does this make sense? We gave them our deck, and they were like, I give you the contract. This is actually really good. So they have retired executives that's there, sitting there waiting for you to come in for advice. So that's a little tidbit of a resource that people don't use or don't know about. But yeah, go to a bank, and it's a lot about practicing. One thing that we're very fortunate and blessed in Texas, very unique to the country, which I wasn't aware of until I started talking to entrepreneurs in other parts of the country. We have national banks. If you think about the JP Morgan Chases, the Wells Fargos of the world, the Bank of Americas, we have national banks. We have regional banks here. We have small community banks here. That is so rare. Like no other parts of the country don't have that. Like all these, Amages and Comerica, that is a Texas thing. Okay. So hey, Start with the JP Morgan Chases, go down to the Comerica's, go down to the Amage, ask everybody, like get in the practice of asking for money. It's going to do it as soon as you can, because you're probably going to get told no, which is fine. I will say my first time asking for money, I did get the money. You're going to be told no, but that's okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Practice. You have to practice, and you have to get used to asking for money. It's about wealth management. It's about cash flow management. It's about using other people's money to grow your business. Now, right now, financing is expensive. So I would suggest you use alternative sources, like go to a CDFI, that's a community development financial institution. LIST, which I introduced Dee to LIST when we were in at WeBank, is the largest CDFI in the country. They have over $1 billion in assets. Go to them, ask them for help. They have so many vehicles for money that is going to be lowered and going to a bank.
Traditional bank right now.
What do we as women and experience as challenges trying to get investors? So you mentioned banks and other alternatives, but there are some challenges for women. So what does that look like in your experience?
I would say know your numbers frontwards and backwards. Anticipate the questions they're going to ask you about your financials. If you're not very savvy or you feel uncomfortable, get with a friend, role play. Let them act as the banker, and you go in and ask for the money and you present your financials. They're going to ask you a ton of questions. They're going to, rapid fire questions at you about your numbers to get you to explain it to them. You need to rapid fire them answers. Okay. It's a test. Like, you're coming in with this on paper. Does she really know her numbers? I mean, I've gone so far as to say, I need to talk to the underwriter because you don't understand what I'm saying. Like, the banker probably won't know the financials. They don't understand financials. They're college students. They may not even have a finance or accounting background. They are told a list of questions to ask by the underwriters. And you're like, okay, I need to talk to the underwriter because you're not getting it. Like, so you have to be that confident and that bold. And that kind of shifts the energy. They're like, oh, she actually knows this. Okay, let me see if I can get her on the call with the underwriter, because I really don't know what I'm asking you for. They just told me. They'll eventually say that. They just told me to ask you these questions. I don't know. So let me get you with the underwriter. I'm like, yeah, let me talk to the underwriter because y'all not getting it. But you have to be that bold and that, ready and prepared to be challenged, because they're going to challenge you on what you're presenting to them on paper. So that's my first tip. Know your numbers frontwards and backwards, like be able to answer every question about them and provide additional support if they ask for it.
Thank you. That's good information, because then that really wipes away the concern for gender and color when you know the business and you know the numbers and you can back it up and support it with proper responses. In a confident
way. I'm very pushy. I don't take no for an answer. You tell me no, I want to know why, and I'm gonna need you to support, why you're saying no. So yeah, you have to kind of come in with that bravado to really be taken seriously.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that response.
So I have a couple other things. That'd be my first thing.
Bring them.
Okay, my second thing is be an amazing storyteller. So even when you talk to your banker, they're gonna say, "Tell me about your business." It's showtime, honey. You better come up with a compelling story as to why you need this money. Okay. You want to get them to be on your side and be like, I see the vision. You need this money, don't you? I need this money. And tell that story. And your story has to be personal. Why you started this business? Why should I care? Like, so you want money to, hire staff or to fund this project? So what? Why should I be invested in you? Be prepared to tell your story about you and your business, why you started this firm, why is it important for this firm to grow, what are you doing that's unique, that's not, no one else is doing in the marketplace, and why it's important for them to help you scale your business and to fund your dream. So start working on storytelling. Come up with some ideas of how to tell your, give the setting for the industry. What's unique about your industry and where you play in the industry, and what makes you, different from your competitors. Like, how do you stand out from your competitors? You want to also tell them, what made you start your business. You want to get them personally invested in who you are. That's very important. When you go to alternative levels of investing, like CDFIs, they're going to ask you these types of questions. Like, tell me about yourself, and you're like, okay, be ready to talk about yourself. Like, be comfortable. I think for African-American women, that's a challenge. We don't really like talking about ourselves. We think that it's from our background and our bringing is braggadocious,
Right.
or off-putting, or not of God. We have so many things, child.
True.
All that stuff is keeping you broke. Okay. Yes, that's my challenge for
Oh
everyone.
my God, I love it.
Okay.
Love that.
That's thing two.
Okay. Did you have a thing
Storytelling
three or
numbers.
next question? What was your, do you want me to go to the
Yeah,
next
look,
question?
like now I got my numbers and my storytelling. Look, Arlene, good question. I'm like, is there a third thing?
I mean, thing three is, really everyone you meet, if you're in the process of seeking funding or investments, be prepared with a 5-minute, 10-minute, pitch. Tell everybody, I'm looking for funding. This is why. I have a big project that's on the horizon. I need working capital. This is what I need the money for. This is going to help me scale my business. Tell everyone in your network that this is what you're doing, and they're going to point you in and give you resources.
That's good. That's good.
Nice.
And like talk about the cultural things that get in our way. It's interesting you say that. I was literally on a call earlier this morning, like a coaching call, and someone was saying, well, I don't like bragging about myself. So this, what we say to ourselves, how it gets in the way of us telling the story and being confident. I could totally see that. And I'm thinking, something else that's gotten in the way sometimes is, personally, sometimes you grow up and it's like, we shouldn't take on debt. A lot of people think of getting money from other people as taking on debt. Like, how do you think about that in your business, in a business mindset, as opposed to maybe personally, the way people, because I think that's something I've heard people struggle with as well in terms of getting money.
So personally, I tell you, we're very, very debt averse. If there's something we want, we do not believe in using debt to buy furniture, or we try not to finance cars, which is interesting because in the African American community, we don't mind putting a sofa on some weird, crazy credit card. Like, we don't mind that.
Yeah.
Asking for money to fund our dreams, that seems like, you don't get in debt for that business. But you can pay 26% for that sofa that you got. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But so we don't do that. But for our business, yes, because we are, we have stakeholders. I have business partners. I have employees I have to pay every 2 weeks. I fund their 401k. So for me, it's my business, but it's not me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My business enterprise, which is separate from Chanel. So what I would do in my personal life, my aversion to taking on debt in my personal life has nothing to do with my business. I formed the LLC, a limited liability corporation, and it's a separate entity. It's not Chanel. So that's just the way I think about it. And there are so many funds, so many ways to fund your business that you can then use that money to, earn a percentage that's higher than the interest rate. Now, I said earlier that right now, going to JP Morgan Chase or to a traditional, national bank is too expensive. We're in the time of inflation. I would not recommend it. But there's the SBA that has, interest rates as low as 2.9%.
Wow.
LIS has 0%. If you can take a 0% loan, let's think this through. Let's game this through. I'm going to take $250,000 from LIS, which offers a grant right now. They call it a grant, but it's a loan because you have to pay it back. 0% interest. Can I earn a percentage? Like, what is my actual profit rate on my business? How much percentage do I earn every year on our production every year? Am I earning 20 to 30% on our investments every year from doing the work and getting new clients? And is this going to help me get more clients? So am I most likely going to earn the 20 or 30% return on investment from me taking this money? Well, already I'm winning because the loan is 0%. So, or I can even take a portion of that money that I received as a loan and put it in a actual CD that's earning 5%. So I'm earning money on, and so you have to think about, how do I use other people's money to fund or scale my business? Now, at the end of the year, if you haven't grown or you haven't earned any new clients or you haven't, scaled your business, you missed your target, maybe you've just earned, 5% on a CD on the money that you took out from, this alternative, investment source. But I would look for that right now until the market changes and the interest rates go down. But I absolutely do not believe in taking my money out of my paycheck to scale my business. That to me is it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
It makes complete sense. And I think too, even as a small business owner, sometimes I love what you said around kind of me and then my business. Sometimes you get so identified with your business that you don't have this separation around, okay, here's how I manage me and mine and my, my personal finances. Now let me put on a different hat in terms of how I'm managing this business that I'm running on behalf of myself and lots of other people, like you said, your employees, your team, et cetera. But I think sometimes we can, especially I'll say for myself, like with a small group of people I'm working with, I can kind of use the same mindset across both, but I absolutely see what you're saying. And yeah, the idea of getting money that can you grow it 1%, 5%, 10%? Yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't be in business if you
We're
could.
smart enough to figure out how to take a 0% loan.
That is
Earn some money off.
That is a strategy. That's the kind of strategy that's actually game changing. And I know why you're so wildly successful. Because even when you said it's easy for us to think about borrowing or going into debt for something that clearly is going to depreciate at a high, and then you're paying interest on this thing versus actually using that technique, borrowing at a 0% for something that you can grow and build versus a piece of something that depreciates and then you got to pay more than you got. So that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. So you said so many really good things. And I'm glad Arlene asked that question about the debt and you clarified personal and professional. When you're getting ready to do those things as new business owners, you mentioned year 1, 2, 3, what do we need to do to prepare? So even with SCORE, even with Lift Fund, SBA, what do we need to do to position ourselves to prepare to go to the investors? Like you were successful right out of the gate. We don't all have your background. So what do we need to do to prepare?
That's very, very good. And, I do take a lot for granted because my background is accounting and finance. And I think I realized during the pandemic how many people didn't have the proper operations and infrastructure to even get the PPP loan. Like a lot of African Americans missed out on the PPP loan because they had no records to pull together to go even present to their bank to get a PPP or even the EIDL. So QuickBooks, real simple. Get you a QuickBooks online, start tracking every, separate everything from your personal activity. You have a business credit card, a business bank account, make sure you're registered with the state of Texas. If you're in Texas or with your state, your Secretary of State, get your professional EIN numbers, separate your business life from your personal life. Don't ever use your business credit card to buy a dress or something personal. Like have a bright line between the two and treat your business, like I said, as a separate entity from you, and run all your transactions through QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks can be tricky. You have to reconcile your books every month. You have to, make sure you're booking all your transactions every month and that you're closing the month properly. Once you have, I would say 2 years worth of activity in your bookkeeping, and you can run actual financial statements, have someone to review it, look at it. If there's anything that looks odd in your financials, footnote it. For example, when I say odd, I'm trying to think of something I've had to footnote in the past. Maybe, you had a sharp increase in payroll expenses from year to year. It's like, because you can do a actual percentage change in your financial statements, and your payroll jumped up 50%. Well, you can footnote that and say, well, I actually added a staff this year, a FTE. So that's why my expenses went up so sharply. Your marketing expense maybe went up 25%. Well, I had to bring on a PR person because, due to the pandemic, we weren't getting out of the house. I couldn't market my business. So I hired a PR person to help me to stay relevant and visible in front of people online. So you can kind of go through and look for outliers or like big jumps in your numbers and just do the work for the banker. Add footnotes at the bottom to explain anything that looks out of whack. So that would be my suggestion, is start to run, monthly and quarterly financial statements. Keep your eye on your numbers. Start to learn your numbers. Explain any changes in your numbers from year to year, and have someone that actually go to a banker. If you have a friend that's a banker, if you don't, I can put you in touch with a banker, and have them to look at it. That's what I do all the time. I'm like, hey, I'm about to go out for this particular grant, or I'm pitching my business to outside investor. I tell my business banker, look at this and tell me what you think about this. Even if the grant is through her entity, I still have her look at it. I'm like, hey, you're the banker. You're the one who gives loans. So look at this and tell me what I need to do. And they always give you amazing insight. Like bankers are there to help you, as well as a resource that we don't tap into.
I would like to ask you to be specific when you say the numbers. You said that multiple times. Well, what are the numbers? What are the numbers? There are lots of numbers out there. There are a lot of numbers that apply to business. We have expenses, we have revenue, we have profit. When you say the numbers that we need to have a line for these investors to take us seriously, what are those numbers? And you mentioned QuickBooks as the number one thing. So
yes.
Say more about the numbers.
So you need to have your P&L and your bank statement. And your bank statement flows to your P&L. The number on your bank statement actually flows to the net income number on your P&L. So you want to make sure that your accounts or your two statements tie to each other. I always flux my numbers, do a fluctuation analysis from year to year. So if I'm going to a bank and I'm presenting 2 years worth of financial statements, I will do a comparison to see any percentage changes between sales, any of my expenses, marketing, payroll expense, benefits expenses, those big numbers that kind of stick out on your financials. I would do a comparison from year to year to see, are these expenses trending the same, or is there a big sharp jump? And I need to explain that. Some numbers are okay to be flat, but sometimes they will expect to see some growth. Like they want to see your revenue numbers have some trajectory of growth, because it will make sense in your story, right? Because if you're going to the bank and saying, I need this investment because I'm bidding on a contract and we're going to scale our business, 20% year to year for the next 3 years. Well, if you present financial statements and over your historical numbers, you've only grown at 1%. They're like, okay, so you're going to jump from a 1% growth trend to 20%. Like that doesn't make any sense. So you want to make sure that when you do look at your numbers, whatever you're asking for makes sense with the history that you're presenting, right? So just think like an investor. Like if someone's coming to you, a family member is coming to you to ask for money, what would you want to see? What would you want to see on paper? Like I've had, and make it look pretty, okay? Make your financial statements, like get rid of zero lines. If it's a zero line activity, hide that line. Like make it really neat and clean. If I do an actual pitch deck for an investor, I have pictures of my team in there, because I pitched recently for African American grant. It was specifically for Black women, Black men, African American men. And so I put a picture of my team in there. I wanted them to know that my whole team is African American. So if you're looking for Black people, hello, we're right here. So you want to tell the full story, and make it easy for them to give you a yes. So like I have pictures of my team in my deck. I actually have a competitive landscape where I talk about my whole entire industry. And people think sales tax is not sexy. It's very sexy, honey. We got a lot popping in sales tax. one thing I say is, when you're telling your story, think about good versus evil. What make you good versus your competitors, right? That may seem dramatic, but hear me out. So one of the things I say in my pitch is, hi, my firm is Davis Harman. We're the largest woman and minority-owned sales tax advisory practice in the nation. We service Fortune 500 companies all over the world. And one of the challenges I'm trying to address in my business is that in the accounting profession, less than 6% of accountants are African American. Less than 1% are in the specialized tax industry. So we have hired 100% African American team, whereas my competitors say they can't find us. We don't have a problem finding talent. We are training the next generation of talent and African American talent in my industry. So I need you to invest in me so I can continue to hire and continue to develop the next generation of sales tax experts in the African American community. We deserve these jobs. We need these opportunities. You can help me do this work. You're not gonna give me money.
I love your story. Like I'm getting on my checkbook.
I was like, let me get my credit card out.
Send your checks too. But you want to make it easy for them to see the vision. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that 1% of the specialized tax industry are African Americans. Less than 6% of accountants in America are African American. A lot of people don't know those statistics.
Right.
The next 5 years, the majority of my industry are males, white males over 75. In the next 5 years, they're retiring. Who's going to take those roles?
Wow.
Help me to fill a pipeline and bring more African Americans into this industry to get these amazing jobs. So I'm gonna challenge you guys. Have y'all thought about your good versus evil story? What's your story? What makes you unique? How do you stand out in the marketplace? It can't just be about your services, because sales tax is sales tax. But why do I care about you?
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I would say I'm in this process right now. So thank you for sharing that, because I don't think I've done that work. I'm kind of in the midst of it because I've gone from more of a solo entrepreneur to now I have several coaches that work for me. So we're starting to scale the business where I'm not really selling myself anymore. I'm selling the business. And that is very different. So like what you're saying, like what are the unique elements of the way we do coaching that's different from the competition are the things that we've started to lay out. And it's just so different. Like it's really different selling a business than yourself. And so, I mean, as you shared that, I was like, yes, like I'm getting little chill bumps. I'm like, yeah, I want to support sales tax accounting. Like I want to support this. And I'm wondering this is not even in our things I thought about talking about, but for people who are trying to develop that level of confidence and presence, because it's the story you tell and the way you tell it is so compelling. Like it's just like I'm inspired about sales tax. I know nothing about sales tax.
Over here doing tax. Y'all thought I was doing tax. You're like, what?
Yeah. So I'm wondering for people who are exactly. So for people who are trying to develop the confidence, the presence, the ability to kind of tell their story in a compelling way, are there things you've done to get to there, or things you'd recommend other people do, especially women, as I think about, because a lot of times in these investment, scenarios, you're really with a lot of men, or if you're a woman of color, there aren't a lot of people of color. So you're going in a little different, and that can get in your head too. But I'm just wondering, like, what would you give as tips or ideas for demonstrating that confidence and presence that is so clear and really like inspiring when you tell your story?
Yes.
I've been at this a long time. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, my background is accounting, right? I'm a numbers nerd. One of my gifts is making money. I've realized that I'm very talented at making money. But at the end of the day, I'm a accounting book nerd, really. I've had to develop the skill over years of storytelling, marketing. One of the things my husband told me when we decided to take me out of the business, I used to be in the business, actually client service, client facing, and we decided to take me out of that role to grow the business. He was like, someone's got to be out here, telling our story. And I was like, well, how do I do that? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm an accountant. Like, I don't know how to do that. And he said, go out and just meet people. Don't even put a whole lot on it. Don't think you're going to go to an event and leave with a contract. That's not the goal. The goal is go out and meet people. Go out. And Dee has seen me in environments, right?
Yes.
I walk in a room, I have arrived. Okay.
Yes, it's like the old show. Everybody like Norm, Chanel. Everyone knows she's there.
So I've just cultivated, and I think this is very, very key for entrepreneurs, is entrepreneurship can be very isolating. Mm-hmm. We isolate ourselves, we, bury ourselves in our current work, and we don't get out and meet people. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest mistake. If I had to do one thing over in my business, it would have been to join networks like WeBank and several other, organizations similar much sooner. I did that much later in our entrepreneurship journey because, like I told you, we won a contract and we started working, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. And when we looked up, we were like, okay, wait, we haven't grown this business. We haven't, we're still at the same level. That's when I started to actually get out of my business and go out and meet people, going to different networking breakfasts. There's so many things. That's another thing that we're really blessed for in Dallas and in Texas is that there's so much opportunity to get out and network. There's an event today, and I hit Dee up about it to ask her if she was going. Now, I don't do as much as I used to, but when I was first trying to get out and get my sea legs and figure out my story, my pitch, my elevator, it's so much. But once you're starting to go out there and meet people and talk about yourselves and ask for mentorship, you'll be surprised how many people step up to help you. So you have to ask for what you need and ask for what you want. When I realized I was in the phase of fundraising and I needed to get alternative sources of investors, I started telling people. People start putting me in rooms with VC people and VC investors, and they started coaching me on how to change my pitch. It's almost like the law of attraction. You put it out in the universe and it returns to you.
Yeah.
And I'm a lifelong learner as well. I have a podcast myself, and everyone I ask to come on my podcast, I'm asking you on because I'm going to pick your brain. You have something about your background and your story that I want to learn. I'm always constantly learning and growing as an entrepreneur. It's just so important that you keep yourself open to get mentored. Yeah. And I mean, millennials mentor me. My daughter, who's a Zennial, she mentors me. So it could be, it does not have to be someone that's senior to you to give you that little bit of something that you need to know.
That can really change how you think about something or even how you approach it. That sometimes it's the little things that really just help you change your mindset a bit, that set you on a whole new trajectory. So I could absolutely see that. Wow. Well, I know we're come to the end. Maybe we wanted to give you a chance to, just share any closing comments. I don't know anything top of mind that you think you want people to walk away with from the conversation. Or
I would encourage women entrepreneurs to absolutely create your own advisory, your own network. It could be, women who are at the same stage with you, someone that's a little bit further ahead of you, someone that's, younger than you, and cultivate those relationships and think about giver's gain. When you approach someone for mentorship, think about what you can bring to the table, right? Because it has to be reciprocity, right? So you want to always nurture that relationship and feed that relationship because you're going to go back to that relationship regularly. So think about giver's gain and how you, actually cultivate a meaningful connection, because you want to make these connections so strong that when you're in a crisis, you can pick up the phone and talk to somebody like, let me tell you what's going on. Like, I need your help. Like, I need your support. Have you ever been through XYZ? Right? So start to think about who around you, maybe at the same level as you. I will find someone who's a little bit, ahead of you, someone who's coming up behind you, and, kind of create this web of people that you can reach out to, because I have a list. I will go down my list if I'm going through different, and I talk to different people for different things. I may talk to someone in this area for finance. I may talk to someone in this area for branding. If I'm trying to do something new in my brand, I may talk to someone over here. I talk to my daughter because she's bold and brashy and 21, and I want to know about, social media, so, I have like a web of people I reach out to that, feed into me. I'm very, very fortunate in that, but I cultivate that. Like I'm giving out to the people around me, constantly giving. And I'm very thankful that it comes back to me tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. When I say thank you, Arlene, I hope you see why I felt like we had to have her on.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, yes. I so appreciate you being, I mean, personally, like you said about having people on the podcast that you're one personally just want to learn from. I was like, oh, I need to learn. So I thank you for that and for what everyone else is going to take away from this about what you said and the way you share it is just very compelling. And I think this could be that thing for some people that helps them change their mindset or thinking about something that can place someone on a whole different trajectory. So yeah. How do people contact you? Like how do people, if people want sales, tax advice, or just want to be connected with you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So you can connect with me. My business page is on LinkedIn, Chanel Christoff Davis. Our website is ddhtax.com. That's for Davis Harman, tax.com. And the funner side of me is on Instagram. I like to have fun on Instagram. Christoff Davis Art.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I gotta make sure I'm connected to that side too. I think I'm on the business, but I gotta go find the fun side now.
I try to have fun on Instagram because you gotta have some fun in your life. You can't be all about tax. So
right. Yes. And congratulations. I know you have a podcast too. So and we'll put all your contact information and your podcast link in the show notes too. But did you say, is this the 6th season of your podcast?
Yeah, I'll be launching my 6th season next year. Follow the Leader again, and I interview women entrepreneurs and thought leaders from all across, different industries. And I'm pulling something. I pick them up if I figure out they're great talkers,
yeah,
storytellers, right? Then typically I'll ask them to come on, and they have some amazing stories. I have great people on there, like the lady, Lifeway Foods. She has the Kefir yogurt, which is amazing. She's been on my show. Janice Bryan Howard, which is our first African-American billionaire in business. She's on my show. So I've been doing it for this will be my 6th year. So I have a lot of great nuggets, a lot of good people on there.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna put that in the show notes for sure as well. And congratulations on season 6. That is amazing.
Now available. You deserve to love your job. How to find your purpose and enjoy your life. You may not have learned this growing up, but you deserve to love your job. You will spend more time at work than in any other activity in your life, and you deserve to love it. Research tells us that people who love their work are twice as likely to enjoy their life. This book will help you create a blueprint to help you fulfill your purpose, love your job, and live the life you were designed to live. Now available at Amazon.
And before we let you go, we like to do a few questions, just a lightning round, just to get your 30-second thoughts on a few different questions so people can get to know you as a person even better. So, first question, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, girl.
I know I said life, and then I said legacy.
Just thought about that. Oh my gosh. What legacy? I mean, I hope when I'm gone, people will say about me that she lit up every room she entered and that she gave more than she took. That's what I hope people will say about me.
That's good. And true.
Yeah, made me cry. Oh,
I said that actually did like that. Yes, that brought tears to my eyes. Actually, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. What's one thing you do to consistently enjoy your life?
Oh my God. So I paint. I'm an artist.
Oh, wow.
So really, really amazing painter. And I have some of my art here. So I have this is some of my paintings. I have them on totes and
Oh
bags.
my gosh, wow.
Yeah. And I discovered that in my 30s. We bought our first home. Well, yeah, in my early 20s, we bought our first home and I wanted to fill my walls with original art. And I just tried it and ended up being good at it. So I do that a lot to relax. We travel a lot as well, which is kind of travel as a family. And we've been to Portugal and Cartagena, and we're about to go to Oaxaca, Mexico. And we like to go to places that are off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And we immerse ourselves in the local culture. So we'll stay in the city as opposed to on a resort or something, so we can be around the local people. So that's something that we love to do as a family.
Oh, that's special. Okay, and last question, what's a word of wisdom or just piece of advice that you try to live by?
I think one of the things as African American women that we have to remind ourselves of and tell ourselves this often is that we're all put on this earth, for a unique reason, and that we all have gifts to share with the world, and God enabled us or imbued us with these gifts and talents, and that we have to fight against, as African American women, hiding or dimming our light and our talent, because it kind of goes back to the saying, who are you to dim your light when God gave you all this, and you're hiding it under a bushel, because you're afraid to shine. I would like us to step out of that. Life is too short, and to step into who they really are and shine their light on the world.
Wow.
Powerful.
Well, thank you. This has been amazing. I really, really appreciate you sharing the content, the wisdom, and your heart. Honestly, it's been really special. So thank you all so much for joining the podcast. As always, we'll put all of our contact information in the show notes. You can join the email group through the QR code at the end, or also in the show notes. You can always reach me on Instagram at Arlene_pace_green. I don't know if my site is as fun as Chanel's. I got to go find Chanel's Instagram. I feel like mine needs some fun added to it, but I'm still there. So the podcast, and also we'll have little show notes as well if you join the email group. So thank you all so, so much for joining. If no one has told you, we love you. I love each of you. And I love our audience. If no one's told you, we are so, so proud of you. We know you're killing it. We're going to keep killing it while not killing ourselves in the process. So thank you for joining, and be well.